The storyline for the Bloodline looks like it's picking up in a major way for the future, so we'll see what's new there. We'll also see what's up with Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and more, right here on WrestlingWorldCC. Starting things off with all the latest big news for the Bloodline. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa will meet in the middle of the ring, one-on-one, on January 6th, in a tribal combat match to determine the undisputed, one and only tribal chief. WWE did announce during the Raw on Netflix press conference event that CM Punk vs. Seth Rollins will main event the January 6th edition of Raw, but according to several reports and rumors that are circulating out there, there's allegedly still a chance that Roman Reigns vs. Solo Sikoa could come in and steal that main event spot from Seth Rollins and CM Punk at the last second. So even the Raw Netflix premiere main event seems like it's a toss-up right now between those two matches. Fans are getting a feeling that Roman vs. Solo being in the main event could be a telling sign about some potential involvement with The Rock. If The Rock is taking part in something, that usually pushes that match or segment that he's involved with into the main event spot of the night. We just saw an example of that happening just a few months back at the Bad Blood event. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre's Hell in a Cell match was set to headline the event. But after The Rock signed on to make an appearance, Punk and Drew got bumped out of the main event spot for Cody and Roman's tag team match instead. So nothing is confirmed, but fans are speculating and wondering if that same situation could be what's happening here. If the Raw main event is changing to Roman versus Solo, maybe that's because The Rock is getting involved. If the Raw main event is Punk versus Rollins, then Roman versus Solo would not be in the main event spot, and no Rock either. So maybe that's what's going on with the confusion surrounding the Raw Netflix premiere main event. The Rock has been heavily rumored to make an appearance on the January 6th edition of Raw for many months now. Some fans think that WWE is even teasing this appearance right in front of fans' faces. The December 16th edition of Raw featured a backstage segment with Adam Pearce where a production truck with The Rock's face can be perfectly seen within the shot of the camera. And it's a known fact that WWE likes to tease and hint at upcoming returns through the use of production truck faces in camera shots. So that's why fans understood that December 16th moment as more confirmation that The Rock would be appearing at the premiere. If he does appear at the premiere, fans pretty much all want the same thing. They want to see The Rock do something cool, significant, and with a lot of purpose. Although it was great to see The Rock on WWE television at Bad Blood, you look back at it and it's just a pointless and meaningless return. He stood on the ramp, held his title, took his glasses off, and turned back around to head through the curtains, and to never be seen or heard from again. So if he does appear at the premiere, fans are hoping to see him actually do something and push some narrative forward, instead of just another entrance stage and posing return. So that's the hope and expectation there from the fans if The Rock does appear. But next on Wrestling World CC, we're going to take a look at another potential addition to the Bloodline story, and that's a championship title that's exclusive for the family. WrestleVotes reported that WWE is allegedly considering adding a physical Tribal Chief Championship belt into the storyline between Roman and Solo. Those two are already fighting over the position of being the family's tribal chief, and they do have the Ula Fala as the physical representation of a family championship. But according to these reports, they could be adding an actual tribal chief championship into the scene. The title would be similar to The Rock's People's Championship title. It'll be a physical title you can touch, hold, and see, but it will not be available for anyone to challenge for it. And in this case specifically for the Tribal Chief Championship, the only individuals that could contend for it is family members and relatives of the Bloodline. No one else at all, obviously. And fans are already doing some fantasy bookings and predicting where this all could be heading. If a physical championship belt is introduced for the title of the Tribal Chief, it's a high chance that Roman Reigns walks away from the feud against Solo with that title. And when it comes to The Rock, he really loves championships. That's why when he first returned in 2024, what was his intention right off the bat? It was to challenge Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship and have this big family battle. And when all that went wrong, The Rock started walking around with his own People's Championship. So fans are thinking that the big reason behind this Tribal Chief title being introduced is so that they can have Roman Reigns versus The Rock with the championship title still being on the line. It may not be a historic WWE title on the line between the two of them, but it'll be the next best thing in line, and that's a physical title that represents control and leadership of their family. So that's what fans are predicting for deep into the future. If they do go ahead and introduce this title sometime in 2025, fans feel like we'll definitely be seeing Roman versus The Rock with that Tribal Chief title being up for grabs. Next up on WrestlingWorldCC, we'll be taking a quick look at a storyline that was teased on the December 16th edition of Raw that does have the potential to blossom into something much larger in the future. And this is a potential partnership between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Seth and Drew went through a pretty intense and heated feud in early 2024, heading into WrestleMania 40. But Drew and Seth have some very intense common ground areas they're in right now. Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre both have a strong hatred for both Roman Reigns and CM Punk. And that's what their December 16th segment was mostly about. We see Drew approach Seth Rollins, and he basically gives Seth a lot of respect for being a man of his word and not helping Roman Reigns, unlike how the rest of the OG Bloodline did. But Drew tells Seth that Roman is still the same man and will go back to being in full power. So Drew says he has to take out each member of the OG Bloodline before that can fully happen again. Seth has a good counter argument though. He says he already took Roman out of power at WrestleMania 40 and how Sami and Jay were on his side when that happened, so they do not deserve to be taken out. Seth argued that common interest does not create friendships, so she turns down Drew McIntyre's apparent partnership offer. But it's interesting though, because Drew is right as well. So he turns down Drew McIntyre's apparent partnership offer. But it is interesting though, because Drew is right as well. When Drew was going through a similar period and phase in 2023 of holding this grudge against Roman and the Bloodline, Seth and everyone else basically told him to just let it go and get over it. And Drew is now kicking the same idea back to Seth, basically implying, why doesn't he just let things go with CM Punk? So these two have very big common enemies, very similar feelings about them, and they're both apparently really good at holding on to grudges. Seth is turning Drew down at the moment, but it looks like Seth is on the same page Drew was several years ago. So it makes you wonder if Seth could eventually take Drew McIntyre up on his offer to help take out Roman Reigns or CM Punk. That'll be something very interesting to monitor if they go revisit that potential partnership down the line. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.